So we all know that this is a book you should not miss. Please join me in welcoming the incredible Howell.
Is the mic now?
You can come on.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate all this Friday.
It's fine. Okay.
It's not fine.
Excellent.
I was at church the other day and they gave me a warm slide. So thank you for having the opposite energy of the church. People kept coming up to me and Phil, just being like, doing it, and I was like, well, when the time is right. And then Mark Collins, the HQ team, came to me and said, we really think you should do a book about mental health. And I was like, you've got to be joking. I'm the least qualified person in the world. And they said, medically you are, but people, they like hearing about your pain and laughing at it. So I think that's a good enough in to justify printing a load of paper. So I thought, okay, let's let me have this chat. And my number one concern was, I think there's a lot of people that write really valid books about their own experiences in life, but then when they start giving advice, it gets a bit strange because you don't know whether you can trust what they're saying. And I'm not saying that people would go, why the fuck are we listening to what Dan Howell's got to say or something? But I really thought it was important that we had a seal of approval saying, just so you know, I'm going to write this, someone has fact-checked it, I'm not just making up stuff that I think sounds like a nice idea. And that made it much harder, because a lot of the time, I would even be telling stories about my wife, and then a psychologist on a Google Doc would be like, this is problematic. But I'm joking. They'd be like, yeah, but that's just a really unhealthy way to look at it. Yeah, I know it's unhealthy, but it's my unhealthy way to look. Just don't say it like that. So it was a good learning journey to the point where you know what has been in here is stuff that you can count on, which I think is as helpful for me when I read it back and I go, I can trust what I said on page 202. So, yeah. You need to understand people that are not terminally online and have known every single thing you've ever done in your life for the last 14 years will read this, and it will need to appeal to them. And I was like, okay, that's
It doesn't apply to anyone.
well, we get into your questions, we'll see how the opposite in this room right now, but it was the idea that, you know, I joked the other day that someone going through a really tough day that gets lost in an airport at W.H. Smith might pick up this book, and this needs to resonate for them. And it was me thinking, what would I have liked to have read? And I think it's in the order of priority. So the book is in 3 sections, which is, you know, the things that you can do immediately. As I said, everything is inherently gay. It's wonderful. Not that I wouldn't have come here if the bar was bottoms. But it's nice to be here, and I hope that Mr. Toppings, wherever he is, knows nothing about this event or what happened here tonight. So I won't be asked back. Okay.
I've got, what are your favourite childhood books?
Oh, that's okay. I'm not going to talk about one series. No, it's okay. Okay, so don't lie. There was because people can be like, woo, I no, you didn't. There was a series of books called The Edge Chronicles, which was like a fantasy series, which was aimed at like 14-year-olds, and yet it was so fucked up. This shit was scary. I read it all the time, and it was a book series. And
very different change of tone. Advice for letting yourself grow when people can be really against change.
I've been there. I think that, you know, as well for me, publicly, it's this idea that for so long we were in this strange era where everyone was like, do they like Dan and Phil? Because the girls are shipping straight boys, and obviously the vibe turned out so different. Everyone was gay, and if they weren't gay, they're like straight, but they're kind of queer, and it's a bit weird, and everyone's neurodivergent. It's like, well, good for us! We found ourselves. It was a strange journey, and I think for me at the time, it was me, you know, there's this constant pressure of me going, I want to just do what I want to do, I want to be authentic to myself, and yet there's this really loud comment section, and there's this, I think that we all experience it. Obviously I had a really extreme experience of feeling like I was beholden to an audience, but I think we all are in our life because we have the audience of our family, we have the audience of our colleagues, we have the audience of our own expectations for our lives, and I think that ultimately we're always trying to find this balance between going, I want to be accepted by the people around me, I want to succeed in the situation I am, and sometimes changing it up or feeling like you're going to do something that maybe people won't like is really, really scary. But I think the longer that you make those decisions, the more unsettled that you'll feel. And I think life is just a constant balancing act between having to put up with other people's bullshit and then occasionally doing stuff for yourself. And it is going to be uncomfortable either way you tip it, but you can't do what I did for 29 years of just going, I love food. It was super interesting because I posted a really long yap about why I was done with YouTube for like so many reasons, and then when I announced the tour that I was going on, I had a lot of the internationals being like, well, fuck me, I guess, because it's too expensive to tour South America, so everyone else will be enjoying all this stuff and I'm sat at home. And I thought, the beautiful thing about the internet is that it's global and it's free. You do have to watch a lot of adverts on YouTube or listen to someone talk about NordVPN, but it is free and you can watch it wherever you want. And I think that as much as I tell myself there's a lot about YouTube that is really like distressing and unhealthy for me, that there is something inherently beautiful about it. And so the interesting thing about that is I filmed the entire thing in 3 days. Basically, Sophie, who I'm sure many of you may know is Kate the PJ's girlfriend / producer, I was like, I've got this idea that I had super last minute. I want to do an ironic, like late night show on my YouTube channel that is about how much I don't want to be doing stuff on a YouTube channel. And we rented a random sweaty hole in East London, got a bunch of vaporwave aesthetic shower curtains from eBay, and then spent 3 days of me yapping my tits off in the studio. And when I look back at it from that perspective, I don't even know how I did that. That's really weird, because I really pumped out that kind of stuff. It was an interesting experience because we had the video that I accidentally said the C word and it got demonetized, which was good, but then I had someone from YouTube tell me that I wasn't going to have any ads on my channel or be in the algorithm for a month because I was on the naughty list. And I was like, it was an accident, I didn't mean to. And I don't care if you accidentally forgot to censor something, you idiot twink. And I was like, shut up, I'm being censored. But it was beautiful. I think that the idea is, would I do it exactly the same way? Would I do it more often, longer? Would I break it up, do a series? I think the interesting question is, will Dan Howell ever post again? I don't know, it's interesting, because what kind of YouTuber should I be? I think back to 2019 and go, should I just be one of those people that does a video essay once every 4 months? Mate, it's a good genre, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, the neurodivergent people are sat here going, you give me that one video essay, I'll rewatch it every day, I don't care. It's fine. But then on Downfall Games, we're giving the people the highest form of art, which is British light entertainment. It's good. It's like my dad used to sit down and just watch panel shows on Channel 4 all day, and I'm like, that is the same shit, honestly. And I think that it's our culture to just look at British people yapping about absolutely nothing. So there's so much I can do. I think that, we'll see what's coming next. That's all.